Okay. Let me just start by saying welcome everybody and happy holidays, when and if you start your holidays. Next formality is genuinely the organisers like Rick and Stuart and Malcolm, who we'll hear from later, who's just desperate to throw a few shapes and play a few tunes for us after the quiz. Also, it's great to see other people throwing their contributions in. It brings a different voice, a different tone, a different contribution. So Chloe and Pete for leading on some of the awards tonight. I think that's a good step forward. This morning's Parlife, everybody's mentioned it, everyone's seen the pictures. Again, 60 folk is a fantastic turnout. Whoever suggested to me that we should make it on a Saturday, they were absolutely bang on moving it from the Thursday, from a dark Thursday night, from quite an eclectic little group, to 60 folk there, and more wanted to take part. And the only thing that held it back was me hiding behind the COVID regulations. But we could have had another training bubble, a racing bubble. In particular, all the volunteers who rocked up on time did their job with minimum briefing. And I think everyone has commented upon standing there in the rain for several hours. And they loved it. The atmosphere was great. Everyone done their job well. And they were flexible moving from job to job, which makes everybody's life easier. Can I just point out that it was a free event? No chip timing, very traditional, very old-fashioned. And there was no dodgy shoes that I could see on display. It was all good old-fashioned. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. And I got the sense at the end, despite myself and Gary pleading with people to maintain social distance, we got within about a metre of each other, which I'm sure is absolutely fine and is evidence in the photography. Yeah, though, I think, Pete, there was one person who had some very bright orange Nikes, but I'm not an expert. I don't. Previous winners of the Merit Trophy for Volunteer of the Year, can I just give some quick shout outs? Chris Cragen, who appeared today, and I'm so glad to see Chris. I'm always glad to see Chris. Pete Simpson, previous winner, and he's been mentioned several times tonight. Karen Dobby, who I know is in the room. Alistair Jack, I checked with him before I came on here tonight. He is busy walking from Land's End to John O'Groats, honestly, but virtually. He tells me he's done 875 miles, and he's somewhere about, Pete, where is Tain? Is that your neck of the woods? It's somewhere up there anyway. He hopes to complete the distance by Hogmanay, and I'm sure he will. So I have a lot of time for Alastair. I think he's our first winner for rocking up at every event and stewarding. Invaluable. Richard Mead, who I know is here tonight. The Craven. Lindsay Fraser, who's been mentioned already. Emma Lavery for her, not just this year, on her sterling work on the Scran relay. Little question, you can talk amongst yourselves, you could put a bet on it. Could somebody win it twice? I was reflecting over the last week when I've been putting these words together on the real and virtual year. And whilst people like Lewis Orr pointed out to me that, and Patrick Lucchese, hope you remember him, he gave the prizes for the handicap, the McDonald's handicap, Patrick Lucchese. They talked about the real reality of cross country that lots of people went to, real competition. And Patrick, in his French way, you could feel the breath of your enemy on your back. And that's why he loved competing. I think Rick Clark reflects a little bit about that. But that's why we compete. It's not just to win, but to evade. For that race, he saw it as your enemy. And he said it brilliantly in French, which I won't try to do here. And Lewis talked about the mud, the blood, the rain, and the sweat, and the changing of the weather at Falkirk. which is quite a brutal day. And it lives in you with reflection, it lives with you. And people love the real competition. But this year has been totally dominated. How many people can remember that far back? Totally dominated by this, the COVID situation, the virtual year, and how we're trying to collectively and individually help each other get through this and look ahead and look ahead. Over the last week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, I've picked up on people's comments at training. I haven't approached them, they have approached me, either training or privately. They've said kind of a word, Alec. And their observation has been a bit like it's been reflected here tonight, is how lots of people have stepped up and done something. And lots of people have totally appreciated what everybody else has done. It stops us climbing the wall, it gives it another perspective. And I genuinely feel there is, for certainly this group of people that I'm associated with, it's uplifting and heartwarming, and long may it continue. On this list, there's at least 30 people in 6 or 7 months who've done something, and that's just the people I'm aware of. I'm sure there's some people do their quality work quietly, and they're just more than pleased to go about it, do it without getting public recognition. I think we've been going 270 lockdown days. Can only just say that I know that because one of the projects I started when official lockdown started was every time I come in for a walk or a run every day, I picked up a stone on the route and I built a little cairn out the front door. And there's 270. I'm told it can be seen from space. It's bigger than the Chinese wall. I think the person who told me this exaggerates. But going back 270 days to a Thursday at the Meadows, it was atmospheric and different and strange. And already we were standing apart from each other in this big circle. There wasn't excited chatter. There was chat, but it was different. And you just knew it was different. And at that point, I'd already made my mind up that I was going to stop coaching for the foreseeable future for various reasons. And 3 or 4 people, some of whom are here tonight, talked to me then and before and after to counsel and give me good advice to say, look, Alec, this is going to be bad for everybody. I think you should stop for all our sakes. Get in before you're officially told to stop it. And some are in the audience tonight, and I totally appreciate what they told me, and it made my mind up to say it that night. It hurt me to stop training, but it was with hindsight, Captain Hindsight, definitely the right thing to do. So my thanks, first of all, to all those people who counselled me to say, and have kept on counselling as we'll come back to training to say, change this, change that, think about that. And that's genuine feedback, and I totally appreciate it. Chris followed it up. If you follow Chris Cragen, he wrote a fantastic, poignant article on his blog about staying connected. And I think his words of wisdom, he's a really articulate guy. He speaks really well. And he got across to what I think we should be trying to do. And again, we have lived up to that, probably without even realizing it. We have worked hard, we as a club and all you guys as individuals and teams and efforts and groups. My point is, it's not just about the running that keeps us healthy, it keeps us together. But as you've evidenced tonight already, you've all taken on little projects, little things, big things, and tasks. Nobody asked you to do it. The trustees didn't. You did it successfully. And taking on the chat. And it's a real cliche of mine, but I think there's much more to this club and there's much more to training and racing than just doing it. And I think you've exhibited that in the way we've conducted ourselves over the last 270 days. So, there are, as I say, 23, 30-odd winners here. There are all possible winners. Some of them have been mentioned already, and so it's clearly they're appreciated, not just by me, by colleagues and fellow runners and fellow athletes. I want to start first up, the man who's away making Spag Bog, hopefully still there, Dave Clements. Dave is one of a small group of people. I love his practical skills at taking down that bloody gazebo and packing it up and get it back to somebody's car at the end of a cold, wet Falker and other races. His, I think his military skills and his engineering skills stand out, and he doesn't shout at us, and it's just done, and I love it. Thanks, Dave. Becca Frake, who I saw drinking earlier on, so I assume she's still here. She rocked up at Piper Dam at the East District Championships, a day like today, wet and muddy. And Becca was there to race and race well, but she still did the team management thing, getting the right numbers on the right people at the right time. Sounds easy until you stand there and you've got all these people round about you going, where's my number? Where's the start? What time does it start? And she handled it perfectly. So Becca, fantastic. And then there was that strange period at the start of shutdown, and I come home, I don't know where we had been. I'm sure it wasn't illegal. But Anne Pete had sent masks that she had made to a number of people, face masks, hopefully in the family tartan, very Scottish, loved it. But Anne Pete, before it became compulsory, and I've still got mine, it has been suggested I wash it. Is that what you meant to do? I have no idea. So, Anne, thanks very much. Lewis Orr, in case you don't know, is now a level 1 coach. Lewis is helping Enid Johnson with the young women, and he is there for me on a Saturday, taking on small groups. Fantastic demonstrations, fantastic feedback. I love his chat. Stuart has not been mentioned, so I'm going to mention him. Team management for virtual and real races. He's totally different style to me, and I've got to say, better. Great teams he puts together, following on the footsteps of people, the likes of Neil Renault as well. Promoting the event, entering the event, generally steering us through portals. Now, I thought a portal was something you got on Star Trek, but I'm told it's how you enter races these days. And there's a great picture also of Stewie and the team at the 50th Alan Scally Relay, entering by hand in the good old way on a bit of paper. And I loved that. Scally in my day was a prestigious road relay that we went across to in Glasgow to see who would be in our Edinburgh and Glasgow relay team. Hard fought for. And we won it a few times, but it's great to see another squad of EAC, and it was males, stepping up and winning it on the 50th anniversary of the great man Scally Relays. Number 6, a bit controversial here. I love a bit of controversy, throwing things in. Amanda Woodrow. She helps me on Saturdays, despite her PhD completion pressures, but she still rocks up to deliver for our group at the Saturday session. A huge range of ability from 800 meters in a track. She does the odd wee mountain race at Glencoe. She went with our club to the European Women's Club Championship. Now, that's a real prestige event. There's only 8 teams invited from different countries. Britain was represented by Edinburgh. Amanda, albeit an 800 meter runner, she ran the longer one with 3,000 or 5,000 meters. And she, as people have observed, she has a huge range of abilities. You saw her in the video there in her old Our Club vest with a very whimsical relay changeover, which made me laugh. Now, she's joined Carnegie, she's moved out of town. That's quite a long note. Perhaps if you were running a book, could Amanda win it even though she's not in our club anymore? There's 2 suggestions, maybe. Sharon Ramage, She's in the room somewhere. She's got a unique festive headdress on, I think, a reindeer. Sharon, again, I think has surprised everybody on her organisation on a Saturday morning in the group. Her drills, her warm-up, her coaching ability. She is a coach of the highest standard. She just a bit of a dart, keeps it quiet, very modest. Sharon, thanks very much. Also in the room, Kat Ferry, ditto. Not just leading on Saturday. I put her in my list because she's one of the people who have counselled me over the last certainly the last 6 or 8 months, but also helped me shape all my feedback, all our COVID stuff, to make it as secure as possible, so as that people who appeared felt safe and comfortable and wanted to take part. And I liked her honesty. Much appreciated, Kat. Dougie Gowan, I don't know what sunglasses he's wearing at the moment. But Dougie, again, for his quiet guidance, he probably didn't even know he was giving me guidance. But great listener, great chat. Much appreciated, Doug. Quite a difficult time for me. But more in particular, he steps up quietly on a Wednesday and a Saturday, if needed. And he is needed. So Dougie, thanks very much. Izzy Joyner, who's not here, former club member, has come back, triathlon coach. As I pointed out to Izzy, you're a coach. The content's different, but you'll be able to deliver, organise feedback, give instructions, and she does. Jim Scott, Elaine Eady, for taking forward Wednesday. Many years ago, I felt when I looked at people's training diaries, not just the marathoners, but in the winter, they lacked the box standard, and hopefully Gary will back me up in this, the box standard midweek 60, 70, 80-minute Lydiard run. For most of us, I never got up to 102 miles like Nicky. You get up to 72 and I'd fall apart, but you still did that box standard long run where you got up next day and you weren't wasted. You could train then on Thursday. And Malcolm Parry, disco later, he started it off. I asked him to, and he did it and persevered with it. Chris Cragen, again. Keith Dunlop, who was there today as the timekeeper, they all led that. But in lockdown, Jim and Elaine are dealing with up to 20 athletes on a Wednesday night, which shows you how much people appreciate A, what we're doing, and B, their leadership. Malcolm Parry, there's another mention from Malcolm. Malcolm has offered off-road long runs at a social distance, which is fine by me because it's on that side of town, it's off-road, and it's what's needed. Not everybody can come across to Craiglockhart for 9 o'clock. On a serious note, or relatively serious note, the working group, which probably nobody knows about except the members of it, Ian MacDonald, Sandy Cameron, Ian Whittaker, Kev Dunlop, and a few others, I think they're all numeric graduates. And they did two things. A, they helped shape the new membership structure. They took on board lots of feedback from all our members about what the fees should be and how they should be structured. But probably they were catalysts in making the trustees in particular take up and start look seriously with the support, not the guidance, with Gary Robertson saying you have to look at the numbers on your income and expenditure and your balance sheets a lot more carefully. And these guys helped us without telling us to start doing that. And it's much appreciated, genuinely, the work that they've done. Martin Rowe, who won the Donald Gorrie Trophy for the most contribution to Edinburgh Athletic Club this year, come from Croydon. He's an 800-metre runner. He is our COVID officer. Every club to hold training must have one. It's his or her job to check the registers, check that all the coaches are doing stuff, check we have done the CPD, and he's done that. We could not have done it without him. John Lenihan, for his journalism, I think he's got a nice style, and he's learning how to work with the editors to get our club and the athletes across. A quick shout out for Brian Aitken. Brian, John replaces or takes over from Brian, who's written some brilliant articles for AW and still sends me the odd one on a Saturday night, round about midnight. This is his latest journalistic thinking, which can be quite radical at midnight, I think. But Brian has done a lot for this club as a super journalist. And I think John has taken on the mantle. Videos have already been mentioned from a number of folk. Owen Williams, come back to the club, fantastic. How you can run and take pictures, I have no idea. I don't understand it. Hannah, well, we've already seen Hannah's work. Loved it. Loved it. Lewis Orr, quite short and sharp, running up the side of Arthur Seat, I think. John Blair, who's off the scene a bit, but I saw him the other day driving an NH van and he gave me a wave. So John Blair, the Craven, I've already mentioned it, you've already seen it. His Benny Hill thing, skit down at Peebles about the relay changeovers, I just laughed. I still love to see it. They don't have to do that, but they did it. They go out with a camera, they go out with a video, and they post it. Not for their ego, but for what we take away from it. And I just loved all that stuff. Carla Borland, former club member. So Amanda, former club member. Carla Borland, former member. She's got a fantastic blog, which Carla did. I think you just key that in and what Carla did comes up. There's at least 8 EAC people in there. Chris, Keith, alongside world champions like Angela Mudge. It's a super blog, super contributions, lots of anecdotes. Well done, Carla. Leanne Webster, she's taken a lot of our virtual muddiness pictures and produced a calendar. Everybody in our club from this year and the last, God knows how many years, they're in this calendar. There are pictures of us as athletes. And all the content has been submitted by the members. And she's pulled it together. She's edited it, all the rest of it. It's at the printers just now. We can do extended run. I think 40 people put their name down to buy it. Various people have seen it. It's a super bit of work. Midsummer Day, I thought Emma spoke really well. I was reading the chats as she was speaking about people's memories of that day, the longest hot day that we had. How inspirational it was. And our team, Karen, Elaine, Hannah and Nikki. Raised money, you put the vest on, sent in the clips. And for those of you like me, who remember Live Aid, and somebody commented about it was emotional. I'm not into Facebook, but Helen goes and Ailey goes, have a look at this as it was unfolding during the day, and people were posting and the pictures and the comments. All it needed was Bob Geldof to step up and say, and he apparently didn't say it. Give me your money. It was atmospheric. It was tingly. It was fantastic, Emma. It was and everybody, all the runners. It was inspiring. And I love to start with the bells tolling at 5 o'clock. It's just super. Another team effort, the Virtual Muddiness team, which has been reformed, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Rachel, Chloe, Hazel, and Richard put forward the Virtual Muddiness and developed that and shaped that, and I put that out there. We've got the results. We've got 6 fantastic videos. But 3 of them plus Shona Adams, who I think is still with us, they will be announcing, probably after the holidays, 4 new challenges, virtual challenges in Edinburgh, which is another way to explore the city and its environment, the roundabout area. Got a touch of history to it. So there's 4 new challenges for you, 2 on the road, 2 off-road. Richard Clark, who's busted a gut, I think, he put out 6 virtual muddiness videos. Very artistic, inspiring, great memories, sunny days, Loved it. You know, it's supposed to be muddy, but I think every day was sunny. It's super good. Kevin Hamilton, another mention for Kev, putting together all the results with Richard for the virtual muddiness stats. It was interesting to see the participation rate and who responded to what challenge. John Tracy perhaps said, a good runner can run anywhere. And some people demonstrated that. A big shout out to Colin McGill for going back and doing it again. I think that's a sign of a determined distance runner. So Colin, fantastic. Lastly, but not leastly on the list, it's an unwritten rule that the coaches cannot win. And I know Gary was here at the start, and he was there again today. And let me just say, I want you to charge your glasses, a bit like a wedding speech just now while I'm chatting. Charge your glasses. But I really want to formally record, and it has been recorded, I guess, my appreciation to Gary on his contribution to the club over many years. He's a really high-level coach. He's not, I don't think he's a flashy coach, but very knowledgeable, knows his stuff, gets results. And what I like also about Gary is in that little way, when we're floating stuff and chatting about it, he always goes, have you thought about this, Alec? And what about that? And maybe, and he always gives me another perspective. And I totally take that on. I'm not saying he's always right, but it always makes you reshape and rethink what you're trying to do. And I know he does that little nod thing. Are you sure you want to do that? And I totally get it. So if you're all get your charged glasses, and hopefully, even if he's not here, we can still say, thanks very much, Gary. Good health. You might not win though. Okay, looking ahead. Let me first of all thank Martin Ferguson, who was our club rep. He represented the endurance side, and there was a female track star represented the trackies. Isla and Pete have already been mentioned, who I think cover both track and endurance, the two sides to our club. Both are every bit as strong. And Ian Craven, without pushing him into it, has said, business permitting, he will still support what we're doing, and he has some of his own ideas, albeit he's not going to be an executive. And I think it's important that younger people with newer ideas step up and shape what we're trying to do. Our club's been together for 130 years, and there's a lot of people contribute to that. But I also feel, and that's why I'm so pleased that Isla, Pete, and other people, all you guys out there, are stepping up to help shape its future and understand what the trustees are trying to do. So let's keep moving forward. As a trustee, which is, and I'm one of them, of the club, as the current endurance manager, as an individual member of Edinburgh Athletic Club, can I just thank these people and all you guys for continuing to appear and contributing? Can I also thank you for picking up, without knowing it, Chris Cragen's message about staying connected? I think you've admirably displayed that and done it for our greater good. I think there's lots of quality suggestions. There's 30 names. There's been piles of individual contribution, lots of small team and group effort. But I want to try and be like Janus here and look to the future, but also reflect upon what we've done in the last 6 months and try to capture both for posterity. So what I'm suggesting, and I hope you back me up for this, is that on the merit trophy for the Volunteer of the Year for 2020 COVID year, is Team Edinburgh Athletic Club, as an acknowledgement of all the work that all you people and more have done for this club. Wow, 30 minutes. I've padded it out enough. Yeah. Cheers.
Well, that was great. No, and also just to, before letting him get away without anything, just can everyone just give their appreciation to Alex for all the stuff he does? Because obviously we gave him like a wee bit token gesture today. There really better folk saw it or not, but kind of all of us are indebted to him. So kind of the thanks, Alex, for everything.
Yep.
Yes. Some folk love you. I'm not going that far, Alex. I'm not saying I love you, Alex. Sorry. I hope you're not. I was so desperate to give you a big sloppy kiss today, but unfortunately, the COVID restrictions meant that I'll have to wait until next year.
I know.